Not all coins are what they seem. Some were spent without a second thought. Yet they're worth thousands, even millions today, hidden in drawers, jars, and pockets. Are pieces of history waiting to be discovered. At Rare Coins, we uncover the real value, the truth behind the hype, and the coins collectors would do anything to own. Welcome to Rare Coins. Imagine pocket change in the early 1970s. Gasoline was only a few dimes a gallon. Vending machines ran on quarters, and nobody thought twice about the little silver-colored coins clinking in their pocket. But tucked away in 1971's Denver mint production run, a mechanical, slip-turned ordinary Washington. Quarters into prized collectibles. The 1971 Doubled Die Obverse. Let's set the stage. By 1971, Washington Quarters were no longer silver. They had switched in 1965 to a copper-nickel clad composition. Billions were being struck at high speed to meet everyday circulation demand. And with such mass production, mistakes were bound to happen. One of the most dramatic was a double die on the obverse, where the design elements, particularly the motto, "In God We Trust," and the word liberty appear clearly doubled. This wasn't just weak striking or machine doubling. It was a true double die, caused when the working die itself was misaligned during hubbing. Now here's where rarity comes in. Unlike famous double dies like the 1955 Lincoln Cent or the 1937 D three-legged nickel, the 1971 D double die quarter isn't widely known, outside of serious error collectors. But those who do know seek it aggressively, because it's considered one of the scarcer modern double dies. The doubling is bold enough to be visible to the naked eye in some examples, making it especially desirable. Values? This is where it gets exciting. In circulated grades, examples can sell anywhere from $100 to $500 depending on clarity of doubling. But mint state coins are a whole different story. At heritage auctions, MS-65 examples have sold for over $2,500, and even lower mint state coins routinely break the $1,000 mark. Considering the coin originally cost just 25 cents, that's a massive return. Some collectors speculate that if a truly pristine MS-67 example were found, it could easily break into the $5,000–$7,500 range. Grading plays a massive role here. The doubling needs to be sharp and visible. Otherwise, it can be mistaken for strike doubling, which is far less valuable. Certification from PCGS or NGC is practically mandatory. If you want top dollar for this variety, collectors pay premiums for coins with strong luster, minimal contact marks, and clear separation in the doubled lettering. Cleaning, as always, is the enemy. A MS-71 D doubled die that has been polished or scrubbed might still carry curiosity value. But serious numismatists won't touch it at strong prices. Even if a coin looks a little dull, natural patina is far better than harsh cleaning. In fact, original skin is what high-end buyers crave. So how do you buy and sell one of these? If you're looking to buy, certified examples are the safest route. Raw coins advertised online often turn out to be machine doubling, not true double dies. If you're selling, certification is again the key. Slabbing your coin with a major grading service transforms it from a raw curiosity, worth maybe a few $100 into a documented rarity that could command thousands at auction. Heritage, Stax Bowers, and great collections have all handled sales of this variety. Now let's talk about finding one. That's the dream for every treasure hunter. 1971 quarters are still plentiful in circulation, though most are worn slick from 50+ years of use. The odds of spotting a double die in your pocket change are slim, but not impossible. More realistic sources are dealer stockpiles, old rolls, or estate collections where nobody ever checked for varieties. The thrill comes from the hunt. You might search through hundreds of coins before you catch even a glimpse of doubling, but when you do, it's a jackpot. The story of the 1971 D double die also shows something bigger about coin collecting. It proves that even after silver disappeared from U.S. quarters, value didn't vanish. Errors and varieties kept the series interesting. And while millions of ordinary clad quarters from the 1970s are still only worth face value, a select few, like this doubled die, have the power to turn every day pocket change into four-figure treasures. So next time you see a 1971 Denver quarter, pause before you spend it. Take a closer look at Liberty and In God We Trust. If those letters seem to jump, shadow, or show clear duplication, you might just be holding one of the most valuable error quarters of the entire Clad era. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that was never supposed to exist. A piece struck in celebration of America's 200th birthday, but made from silver when it was only meant for circulation in copper nickel. That is the story of the 1976 Bicentennial Washington Quarter. Struck on a silver Planchet. Collectors dream of this coin because it combines the historical importance of the bicentennial with one of the most dramatic minting errors imaginable. Some examples have sold at auction for over $20,000 to $25,000, depending on grade and condition. Now let's break down why this coin is so special. In 1976, the U.S. Mint issued bicentennial quarters with the dual date 1776 to 1976 and a unique drummer boy reverse. Billions of these coins were struck for circulation in copper nickel clad. However, special 40% silver bicentennial quarters were also minted, but only as part of collector sets from San Francisco with an S mint mark. The Denver Mint, where our coin comes from, never struck any silver Planchet bicentennial quarters intentionally, but by accident, a few leftover silver Planchets meant for the San Francisco Mint found their way into Denver's presses. That's how we ended up with a 1976 silver bicentennial quarter, error that shouldn't exist at all. This coin can be incredibly hard to identify without proper testing, because the designs look identical to the regular Clad quarter. The difference lies in the metal. A genuine silver Planchet coin will weigh about 5.75 grams, compared to the Clad quarter's standard 5.67 grams. It's a subtle but measurable difference. The color is also distinct. Silver Planchet coins have a pure silver gray tone without the copper edge that Clad quarters show. These details make grading and authentication absolutely critical, because many counterfeits exist. PCGS and NGC have certified only a handful of genuine examples, and those are the coins that make headlines at auction. Let's talk grading. In circulated condition, a coin like this would still bring thousands. But in high mint state grades, especially MS64 and MS65, collectors go into bidding wars. One certified MS64 example sold for over $19,000, while another in even better condition broke $25,000 at auction. If a gem example ever surfaces with near-perfect luster and strike, we could easily see prices soar far higher. This is a coin where condition truly amplifies the rarity. Now, what about cleaning? This is one of those coins where cleaning can destroy tens of thousands of dollars in value instantly. A silver bicentennial quarter already raises eyebrows in the collecting world. If it shows signs of polishing or cleaning, many buyers will simply walk away. The professionals and high-end collectors who pursue these coins want originality above all else. That's why, as we always say, never clean your coins. Leave the natural patina, because it protects both the authenticity and the value. Buying and selling a coin of this rarity takes strategy. You're not going to find a genuine 1976 silver Planchet quarter sitting in a local coin shop's junk bin. These coins show up most often through major auction houses like Heritage or Stack's Bowers, or through trusted grading services. If you're ever looking to sell one, do it through an auction house, because that's where serious collectors gather and the competition drives prices up. On the buying side, if you believe you've found one, the first step is certification. Without PCGS or NGC's backing, most buyers won't even consider it. Now here's something exciting for all of you watching. Coins like these still surface from time to time in old collections. People who saved bicentennial quarters in 1976 often threw them in drawers, jars, and boxes, never realizing one could be silver. So yes, you can still check old stashes of quarters, inherited coin jars, or estate sale finds. Imagine digging through your grandparents' bicentennial set and discovering one of these errors. That's the kind of story that changes a collector's life. And I want to remind you, once we were just like many of you, searching through loose change, checking rolls from the bank, buying coins from small shops, hoping to find something special. It took years and a lot of mistakes, but eventually we learned the secrets of spotting true rarities like this. That's why we created Rare Coins, to share that knowledge with you. So you don't waste the time we did. We've seen how these coins can change lives, and we want you to have the same chance. So the question is, could you be the next person to uncover a 1976D Bicentennial struck on a silver Planchet? Somewhere out there, more might exist waiting to be found. And when they surface, the excitement in the collecting world is electric. Stay with us because in this Bicentennial and Washington Quarters series, we'll be covering every major rarity, from famous doubled dies to key date mintages, all the way to hidden treasures like this. We bring you daily videos, and we don't hold anything back. Not even the exact auction records that prove these coins can be worth tens of thousands, sometimes even hundreds of thousands of dollars. So keep searching your coins, check every Bicentennial, and never stop hunting. Because that one discovery could be the coin that changes everything. Picture this, you're holding a coin struck for America's 200th birthday, a design saved by millions of people. But yours looks different. Something went wrong at the mint. Part of the design is missing, shifted to the side, and the rim is visibly off-center. That's the beauty of an off-center 1976 Bicentennial Washington Quarter. Combine that error with the already historic 7/6/1976 dual date and drummer boy design, and you've got a coin that collectors simply can't resist. Here's the background. In 1976, the mint released billions of Bicentennial quarters, most from Philadelphia with no mint mark. These circulated everywhere, and many people tucked them away as souvenirs. But once in a while, the mint's presses misfed the planchets, causing the dies to strike them off-center. Normally, the design should be perfectly centered. But in these errors, part of Washington's bust or the drummer boy's reverse is cut off, while blank metal shows on the other side. This makes every off-center example unique. No two look exactly alike. No. What makes these errors exciting to collectors is the degree of the off-center strike. A small shift, maybe 5% to 10% is neat, but it's not extremely valuable. When the strike goes 30%, 50% or more off-center, with clear visible design and date still present, that's when values climb sharply. If the date 1776-1976 is missing completely, the coin loses a lot of appeal because collectors want the error but also the date visible. Let's talk about real values. Common off-center Bicentennial quarters might sell for $50 to $150, depending on the severity of the error, but examples with dramatic off-center strikes, especially around 40% or higher, can sell for $500 to $1,000 or more. Auction records prove this. Heritage Auctions has sold dramatic Bicentennial off-center quarters, certified by PCGS for several $100s, and in some cases, nearly $1,000 when the strike was bold and the coin remained uncirculated. For a coin that most people only ever thought was worth 25 cents, that's incredible. Grading plays a huge role here. Most off-center coins ended up in circulation because people didn't notice the error immediately, and those tend to be heavily worn. Circulated examples are still collectible. But the premium really explodes when the coin is found in mint state. Imagine a bright original, off-center Bicentennial quarter with full luster. It becomes a showpiece in an error collection. PCGS and NGC routinely grade such coins, and having that certification makes buyers much more confident. Cleaning is especially risky with error coins. Many people think polishing will make the coin's odd shape pop. But in truth, cleaning removes originality and lowers the grade. Collectors want to see natural surfaces, even if they're toned or darkened. A cleaned off-center error might bring only a fraction of the value of a raw, uncleaned example. So what about buying and selling? These coins do appear on platforms like eBay, but serious collectors often hunt them down through major auctions or trusted dealers who specialize in mint errors. If you're looking to sell one, the best move is to have it authenticated and graded, then consign it to a reputable auction. On the buying side, set your expectations. Mild off-center errors are affordable, but dramatic ones in top grades will attract serious competition. Now let's talk about finding them. Could someone actually discover a 1976 off-center Bicentennial quarter today? The answer is yes. People save these quarters in huge numbers, often in jars, sets, and collections. Some errors slipped through unnoticed and are still sitting in drawers. Roll hunting won't likely turn one up now. since most bicentennial quarters have been picked over. But estate sales, inherited collections, and old coin jars remain the best hunting grounds. And let's not forget the human side of this hobby. Every error coin tells a story. Think about the press operator back in 1976, working under pressure to churn out millions of coins a day. A single misfeed created this off-center strike, and instead of being caught and destroyed, it slipped into circulation. 49 years later, here we are, collectors and historians, treasuring that mistake as a work of art. That's what makes coin collecting so much more than just numbers and prices. So if you're lucky enough to come across an off-center 1976 Bicentennial quarter with no mint mark, know that you're holding history in your hand. A minting accident that turned into a collector's treasure. Whether you decide to keep it as part of your own collection or send it to auction, this is a coin that commands attention and respect. And remember, every day we're uncovering stories like this. Rare coins, mint errors, key dates, pieces of history hiding in plain sight. That's why we created Rare Coins. So you don't just hear about the big sales, you learn how to spot these treasures yourself. Because maybe, just maybe, the next life-changing discovery is sitting right there in your collection. Sometimes the coins we overlook in pocket change are the ones that carry the richest history. The 1970 Washington Quarter without a mint mark, struck in Philadelphia, is one of those pieces. At first glance, it seems like just another Clad quarter. But dig a little deeper, and you'll find that collectors pay careful attention to this date because of its role in U.S. coinage history, its special varieties, and even some incredibly rare errors that have made headlines in major auctions. By 1970, the Washington Quarter had been circulating for nearly 40 years. Originally introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, but the coin had undergone a major change in 1965, when the U.S. Mint switched from 90% silver to a copper-nickel-clad composition, due to rising silver prices. The 1970 quarter belongs to this clad era, meaning it contains no silver, just an outer layer of nickel bonded to a copper core. The Philadelphia Mint produced 420,000 quarters in 1970, all of them without a mint mark. This makes them fairly common in circulation, but condition is everything. Most surviving examples are heavily worn, but high-grade uncirculated pieces, especially those with strong luster and no distracting marks, are highly collectible. What truly sets the 1970 quarter apart, though, are the varieties and errors. The most famous is the 1970s proof quarter struck on a 1941 Canadian quarter Planchet. While this is a San Francisco issue, it's often discussed in the same breath as 1970 quarters in general, because it shocked the collecting world when it appeared. Only a handful exist, and one sold at Heritage auctions in 2016 for $35 for a tar. While this exact error isn't from Philadelphia, it put 1970 quarters on the radar of collectors everywhere. As for the no mint mark Philadelphia coin, collectors watch for Doubled Die Obverse examples. Some 1970 quarters show slight doubling in the motto "In God We Trust" and the date. While not as dramatic as the famous 1934 or 1937 Doubled Die varieties, these still attract premium prices from variety specialists. In addition, strong strike quality and toning can raise collector interest. Now let's talk values. A regular 1970 quarter without a mint mark in circulated condition is worth only 25 cents, its face value. In MS-63, prices start at around $5 to $8, but jump quickly as you go higher. An MS-65 example can fetch around $25–$40, while gem-quality MS-66 coins push into the $100–$150 range. The real treasures are the finest known survivors in MS-67, which have sold for $2,000 or more in top-tier auctions. The record auction price so far is $2,160 for an MS-67 example sold by Heritage auctions in 2019. That's a serious payoff for what might have once been a pocket change coin. Grading is critical here. The Washington Quarter series in clad composition can be tough in high grades, because the softer copper core often shows through at the rims, and contact marks from bags are very common. Professional grading by PCGS or NGC is the safest way to certify true gem examples. Collectors also care about strike sharpness. The eagle on the reverse should show strong feather detail, something often weak on 1970 issues. Cleaning is one of the biggest mistakes people make with clad quarters. Unlike silver coins, these clad coins react badly to polish or abrasives, leaving ugly scratches or a dull, unnatural shine. Even light cleaning can instantly cut the value by 50% or more. A bright, original luster is always more valuable than an artificially shined coin. If you find a 1970 quarter and change that looks special, resist the urge to clean it. Submit it raw to a grading service. If you think it's high-end, when it comes to buying, focus on certified examples in MS66 or higher, since these are the coins that hold real long-term value. For roll hunters or collectors searching through bulk change, keep an eye out for coins with clean fields and minimal nicks. You may be holding a sleeper worth grading. For selling, average uncirculated pieces can move easily on platforms like eBay, while true gems are best sold through major auction houses, where competition drives the price higher. The 1970 Washington Quarter without a mint mark may not carry silver, and it doesn't immediately stand out from other quarters of the era, but it represents an important period in U.S. numismatic history, the cementing of clad coinage. Add in its high-grade rarity, its role in one of the most famous minting errors of the modern era, and its value potential in top condition, and you have a coin that proves not all treasures sparkle at first glance. So the next time you come across a worn 1970 quarter, don't dismiss it as ordinary change. In the right condition or with the right variety, it could be worth far more than 25 cents. Imagine holding a quarter that never saw the pocket change of everyday life. A coin struck with such care and precision that it looks almost like a mirror. That's exactly what the 1966 SMS, or Special Mint Set, Washington Quarter represents. Today we're going to uncover the hidden story of this rare piece, explore its history, its rarity, the dangers of cleaning, how to grade it properly, and even some jaw-dropping auction records. Now let's rewind back to the mid-1960s. America was in the middle of a coin shortage. Silver was being phased out of circulating coinage. The quarter lost its silver content in 1965 and became clad, made of copper nickel. Because of this shift, the U.S. Mint temporarily suspended proof sets and uncirculated sets. Instead, in 1965, 1966, and 1967, the Mint issued what they called Special Mint Sets, abbreviated as SMS. The 1966 SMS Washington Quarter is one of these coins. These coins weren't meant for circulation. They were struck with a higher level of detail and finish than regular circulation strikes, but not quite at the level of full-proof coins. Think of them as a bridge between circulation coins and proofs. They often display sharper details, smoother surfaces, and sometimes even a satiny or cameo-like contrast that collectors chase after. Now here's where the rarity kicks in. While millions of circulation quarters were minted in 1966, only 261,583 special mint sets were made. That might sound like a lot, but when you compare it to hundreds of millions of regular strikes, it's a drop in the bucket. And remember, many of these sets have been broken apart over the years, coins mishandled or improperly stored. That means finding a pristine example today is not as easy as the numbers might suggest. Condition is everything with these coins. In the lower grades or sets that have been mishandled, the value won't shock you. But when you get into the high-end grades, especially in SP67, SP68, and the elusive SP69, that's where the fireworks begin. To give you perspective, a 1966 SMS Washington Quarter graded SP68 Cameo sold at auction for over $4,000. And if you move into deep Cameo territory, prices have climbed as high as $5,000 to $7,000 depending on eye appeal and grading service. That's right, a clad quarter from 1966 selling for thousands of dollars because of its special strike and condition. But here's the key in grading. With SMS coins, graders look for sharpness of strike, absence of marks, and cameo contrast. A lot of 1966 SMS quarters will show hazy surfaces or weak contrast, so the ones that stand out with mirrored fields and frosted devices are the showstoppers. If you're sending one into PCGS or NGC, make sure it has the kind of eye appeal that screams special. Let's also address cleaning. Too many times, people come across one of these sets and think polishing it will make it look better. In reality, cleaning destroys the natural finish and can cut the value by 90%. A coin that might have graded, SP67 could drop to details, grade instantly. If you've got a 1966 SMS set, the best thing you can do is leave the coins as they are, untouched. Now let's talk about buying and selling. You can often still find 1966 SMS sets intact for relatively modest prices, but the real treasure hunt is cherry picking. The ones with strong cameo or deep cameo contrast. Dealers often underappreciate the subtle differences. If you train your eye and learn what makes a cameo pop, you can snag sets that contain coins worth far more when graded. On the selling side, if you truly have one that shows the frosted devices and mirrored fields, sending it to a top-tier grading service before selling is essential. Raw, it might bring $20–30. In SP68 Deep Cameo, you're talking thousands. And where do you find them? Aside from coin shops and online auctions, check estate sales and older collections. Many collectors in the 60s bought these SMS sets and stored them in drawers or boxes. Some of them haven't been touched in decades. That's where you can stumble on a set that nobody realized had a cameo gem inside. I want to pause and say, we know many of you watching are on the hunt every single day. You're checking old drawers, inherited collections, flea markets, and coin rolls. And that's exactly how we started too. Once we were just like you, chasing after coins, not knowing all the secrets, making mistakes, even wasting time on cleaned coins. But step by step we learned. And eventually those finds changed our lives. That's why we're here on Rare Coins channel, sharing everything we wish someone had told us back then. So remember, the 1966 SMS Washington Quarter may not be silver, but it holds a very special place in U.S. coinage history. It's part of a short-lived series. It bridges the gap between circulation and proofs, and in the highest grades it is sold for thousands of dollars. Never underestimate what looks like just a clad quarter, because the right coin, in the right grade, can surprise you in ways you never imagined. Stay with us, because in this series, we'll be covering the most fascinating Washington quarters, from rare mint errors to low mintage key dates, and we'll reveal the exact prices that some of these coins have fetched at auction, sometimes in the hundreds of thousands, even millions. So keep searching, keep learning, and maybe the next life-changing coin is sitting in your collection right now. Imagine this: you dump out a handful of 1982 pennies, expecting the usual mix of copper and zinc cents, and suddenly you notice something strange. A Denver minted coin, but without the famous D mint mark. At first glance, you might think it's worn off, but then you realize it was never there to begin with. That's the mystery of the 1982 D no mint mark Lincoln cent, one of the most intriguing and controversial coins in modern U.S. history. Let's set the stage. The year 1982 was a transition year for the Lincoln cent. For decades, these coins were made from 95% copper, but rising metal costs forced the mint to switch to a copper-plated zinc composition. So in 1982, both copper and zinc cents were produced. Not only that, but the mint made them in both large date and small date styles. Across two facilities, Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, with the D. That means there are 7 recognized varieties from 1982, but there's one wild card, the 1982 D, with no mint mark. Now here's where things get interesting. Officially, the U.S. Mint insists that every cent struck in Denver in 1982 carried a D mint mark, so when a coin surfaced without one, the collecting community was stunned. Was it an over-polished die that completely erased the mint mark? Was it a mint employee experiment? Or was it simply an extremely rare error overlooked by the mint? To this day, numismatists debate its origin. Let's talk about rarity and value. If authenticated, a genuine 1982 D, no mint mark Lincoln cent is among the most valuable modern pennies known. Heritage auctions recorded sales in the range of $10,000 to $20,000 depending on grade, with rumors of private sales even higher. Unlike common errors, this is considered a major variety. on par with the famous 1922 Nodi and the 1955 Doubled Die. Grading is absolutely critical here. Most 1982 cents are worn, scratched, or corroded from decades of circulation, but a rare mint-markless Denver coin in mint state could skyrocket in price. PCGS and NGC would be the only safe route for authentication, since many fake no-mint mark 1982 D cents exist, created by mechanically removing the D. Collectors must rely on expert graders to distinguish between natural die characteristics and altered coins. Cleaning is one of the biggest dangers. Because 1982 cents are so common, people sometimes polish them to make them stand out. But for a rare error like this, cleaning would completely destroy its desirability. Collectors want natural, untouched surfaces, even if that means some spots or toning. A cleaned coin could drop from a potential 5-figure value to just a curiosity worth a few dollars. Buying and selling a coin like this is a completely different game from your average penny. You won't find these floating around on eBay without skepticism. If one does appear raw and ungraded, assume it's altered until proven otherwise. The real marketplace for a coin like this is through major auction houses, Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or great collections, where authentication is guaranteed and collectors feel confident bidding big. On the selling side, certification is mandatory. No serious buyer would gamble without PCGS or NGC backing up the coin. But what about finding one? Could it still happen? Absolutely, and that's what excites collectors. In 1982, billions of cents were struck, and people saved them in jars, drawers, and coffee cans. Roll hunters and estate sale diggers still search through massive quantities of pennies from the early 1980s, hoping for that one jackpot find. While extremely rare, the fact that verified examples exist means more could still be hiding out there. And here's the story element that makes this coin so fascinating. It connects modern collectors to the mysteries of the mint. In 1922, we had the famous Denver No-D penny, created when a mint mark was accidentally removed from a die. In 1955, we had the Doubled Die cent, where a striking error turned a normal coin into a collectible icon. And in 1982, we had chaos, composition changes, multiple varieties, and possibly this elusive no-mint mark Denver cent. For error and variety collectors, this coin isn't just rare. It's a symbol of how, even in modern times, the mint can surprise us. So if you're looking at your change and you see a 1982 penny that seems a little off, don't dismiss it. Check carefully, look for that missing D. If it's truly absent and the coin shows no sign of alteration, you might be staring at one of the greatest modern rarities in U.S. coin collecting. And that's the thrill of the hunt. Every pocket of change, every roll of pennies, every jar of coins in a relative's attic, it's all an opportunity. Because coins like the 1982 D, no mint mark remind us that history, value, and mystery can still be hiding in the smallest denomination of American money. Picture this, it's 1955. And Americans are still jingling copper cents in their pockets for bus rides, newspapers, and candy bars that cost only a few pennies. Most Lincoln cents that year rolled out of the mint looking perfectly ordinary. But then came a batch of coins that made headlines, sparked nationwide treasure hunts, and cemented themselves as one of the greatest U.S. mint errors of all time. The 1955 Doubled Die Obverse. This coin's fame is built on its striking appearance. On the obverse, the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" show dramatic, bold doubling so strong it looks like two sets of letters overlapping. Even the date, 1955, appears doubled, with thick outlines clearly visible to the naked eye. Unlike many minor doubled dies that require magnification, this one leaps out instantly, making it both rare and unmistakable. So what caused it? The answer lies in the minting process of the era. Dies were created by impressing a hub multiple times. If the hub and die weren't aligned perfectly on every impression, a doubled image could result. In 1955, one such misaligned die at the Philadelphia Mint struck about 24,000 coins before anyone noticed. Instead of melting them down, many slipped into circulation, often mixed into rolls of cigarettes. Yes, vending machines were still giving pennies and change back then. From the moment they appeared, collectors pounced. Word spread fast, and the 1955 Doubled Die became famous almost overnight. Newspapers reported on people searching through change, and by the 1960s, this coin was a household name among hobbyists. Its popularity has never faded, making it one of the most recognized and desirable varieties in the Lincoln cent series. Now let's talk value. Even heavily circulated examples, those that spent years rattling around in pockets, bring big money. A worn but identifiable piece can sell for $1,000 to $500s. In higher circulated grades, values climb past $3,000 to $5,000. Mint. State coins are the true prizes. In MS-63 red-brown, prices often hover around $15,000 to $20,000, and the finest examples, a spectacular MS-65 red, sold for over $114,000 at auction, making it one of the most valuable Lincoln cents in history. Condition and grading are everything here. The dramatic doubling must be clear and strong, and luster matters enormously. Collectors especially covet examples with original red color rather than brown toning. Certification from PCGS or NGC is essential if you're serious about selling one, because authentication ensures buyers that it isn't one of the many counterfeits. Sadly, because of the coin's fame, it's also one of the most faked U.S. cents. Poor imitations, altered dates, or mechanical doubling are common traps for beginners. Cleaning is a major danger too, because the coin is already worth so much. Some people think polishing will make it shine and increase value. In reality, it destroys eye appeal and slashes the price. A naturally aged, even worn 1955 Doubled Die is worth far more than one that's been scrubbed or damaged. Originality is everything. So how do you buy or sell one of these? For buyers, auctions and major dealers are the safest route. Online marketplaces can be risky, but certified coins and PCGS or NGC holders give peace of mind. For sellers, auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers are excellent platforms, especially for mint state coins. Since competition among bidders drives prices higher, private sales can work too, but authentication and grading are non-negotiable. As for finding one, this is where romance and reality collide. The odds of pulling a raw 1955 Doubled Die from circulation today are astronomically low. It's been nearly 70 years since they were struck, and most have long been found and collected. That said, roll hunting and searching old estates can still turn up miracles. Imagine inheriting a box of wheat cents and discovering this legendary error inside. It has happened before. The 1955 Doubled Die is more than just a coin. It's a symbol of why people love the hobby. It shows that a tiny mechanical slip at the mint can create a national treasure, a coin that transforms pocket change into something worth tens of thousands of dollars. It keeps collectors searching, hoping, dreaming that one day lightning will strike again in their hands. So the next time you see a wheat cent from 1955, stop and take a closer look. Check the motto, check the date, because if those letters look doubled, you're not just looking at a penny, you're holding one of the greatest American numismatic legends ever made. If you were living in America during the mid-1970s, you would have found Lincoln cents everywhere, stuffed in ashtrays, change jars, and candy machines. At first glance, the 1974 D penny seems like one of the most ordinary coins ever made. After all, the Denver Mint struck more than 4.2 billion of them that year. But hidden among those billions lies a scarce variety that only sharp-eyed collectors know about: the 1974 D Doubled Die Obverse. Unlike the famous 1955 Doubled Die, this one doesn't shout at you with dramatic overlapping letters. The doubling on the 1974 D is more subtle but very real. Careful collectors notice it most strongly in the inscriptions, "Liberty and in God We Trust," where the letters show slight spread and thickness. On some examples, the date also reveals faint doubling. To the untrained eye, it looks like nothing, but to error specialists, it's a hidden treasure buried in plain sight. So how did it happen? The answer goes back to the mint's hubbing process of the 1970s. Dies were still made with multiple impressions from a hub, and if one impression wasn't perfectly aligned, the result could be a doubled image. At Denver in 1974, at least one working die slipped just enough to create this variety. Out of billions of cents, only a tiny fraction were affected. making this coin scarce by survival alone. Now let's talk value and rarity. Because the doubling is subtle, many examples slipped through unnoticed and circulated heavily. Worn pieces can still bring 50 to 100 if attributed correctly. In higher grades, values rise sharply. An AU-58 can reach $200 to $300, while certified mint state examples start around $500 and can go well above $1,000 depending on eye appeal and color. The highest prices are reserved for full red mint state coins. One standout PCGS MS-65 red example sold for over $3,000 at auction, proving that even a minor doubled die can command major attention when the quality is there. Condition is everything. Collectors prize examples with clear doubling and strong luster. Grading services like PCGS, NGC, and Annex not only authenticate the variety, but also assign a grade that directly impacts value. With a coin like this, certification is essential, because many sellers confuse true hub doubling with mechanical doubling, which looks similar but is worthless. That mistake can mean the difference between 2 and 2,000. Cleaning is another trap. Lincoln cents from the 1970s often develop brown or spotted surfaces, and some owners try to brighten them up with chemicals. Big mistake. Cleaning leaves hairlines and unnatural color, and grading services will flag the coin as details, cutting its value dramatically. A natural brown example is always worth more than a damaged, polished coin. For buyers, the best strategy is to focus on certified coins. Auction houses, major dealers, and reputable online platforms often list them under the Cherry Picker's Guide, where it's recognized as a major variety. If you're hunting raw coins, pay close attention to the obverse legends and date with a 10x loop. But don't spend big money unless you're sure. For sellers, certification is your best friend. A raw coin may attract interest, but a slabbed, attributed coin will bring maximum competition and higher bids. If you're lucky enough to own a high-grade red example, a major auction house like Heritage or Stack's Bowers is the right venue. And what about finding one today? Believe it or not, it's still possible. Billions of 1974 D cents are out there, and people cash in old jars and rolls every day. Coin roll hunters occasionally stumble across this variety in circulation, though odds are slim. Searching bulk weed and memorial scent lots at coin shops, flea markets, or estate sales can be surprisingly rewarding. Someone might sell 1970 cents by the pound, never realizing that one coin inside is worth hundreds. The 1974 D Doubled Die Obverse may not have the fame of the 1955 or 1969 doubled dies, but it holds a special place in the series. It teaches collectors to look closely, to train the eye, and to appreciate the subtle differences that make a common coin rare. So the next time you spot a 1974 D, penny in your change or in that old coffee can in the attic, don't dismiss it as just another copper cent. Take a closer look. Because with the right date, mint mark, and doubling, that 1 cent coin could be hiding a story worth thousands of dollars. The year was 1970, a year of big changes in America. The Vietnam War, the Apollo missions, and cultural shifts were all shaping history. But for us collectors, 1970 is remembered for a very different reason. The Washington Quarter from the Denver Mint. At first glance, it may seem like just another Clad coin, one of the millions pumped out for circulation, but as many of you know, looks can be deceiving. Because within this very year, treasures exist. Coins that ordinary people once spent on groceries. Coins that now fetch thousands, even tens of thousands in top condition. The 1970 D Washington Quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, with a total mintage of over 417 million coins. That's an astronomical number, which makes most people think they're all common. And yes, the vast majority are worth only face value today. But here's the catch. In the world of coin collecting, condition, errors, and varieties are everything. The smallest detail can take a 25-cent piece and transform it into a rare collectible worth more than gold itself. One of the fascinating aspects of this coin is the varieties and errors known to exist. Collectors specifically search for doubled dies, repunched mint marks, RPMs, and striking errors. For example, off-center strikes and broad strikes on 1970 D quarters have sold for impressive premiums. And then there are proof-related oddities. Some collectors confuse the famous Bicentennial proof small date and large date varieties with the Denver issue, but the D-Mint coins have their own set of collectible quirks. Let's talk about grading for a moment. If you find a 1970 D Washington quarter in circulation, odds are it will be circulated worn, and worth maybe a small premium at best. But when you find one in mint state condition, that's where the value jumps. A coin graded MS-65 might sell for $20 to $40, while an MS-67 example can easily bring hundreds of dollars at auction. And in the highest known grade, MS-68, this coin has sold for well over $3,800. Imagine that, in a single Clad quarter struck in Denver in 1970. No silver content, just copper and nickel. Yet in pristine condition, collectors compete fiercely and push it to thousands of dollars. Now why is that? It's all about rarity and grade. Out of hundreds of millions struck, very few survived without bag marks, scratches, or dull surfaces. Denver's production quality in the 1970s wasn't exactly premium. Coins were minted for commerce, not collectors, which means those few pristine survivors are truly rare, and serious registry collectors want them at any cost. This brings us to buying and selling tips. If you're looking to buy a 1970 D quarter as an investment, don't waste your money on circulated examples unless they carry a dramatic error. Focus instead on certified high-grade coins from PCGS or NGC. Auction houses like Heritage, Stax Bowers, and even eBay listings with PCGS slabbed coins are great places to monitor prices. For selling, if you think you found a gem, always get it graded. Raw coins may sell for a few dollars, but once certified, their value could multiply tenfold. And let me add a warning here: cleaning. If you find a shiny 1970 D quarter in your change, resist the urge to polish it. Cleaning destroys collector value. Professional grading companies can spot a cleaned coin instantly, and it will be labeled as details grade, reducing its price dramatically. Always handle coins by the edges, store them in 2x2 flips or capsules, and let natural luster be your coin's charm. Now, where might you find one of these coins today? The obvious place is your pocket change, but realistically, high-grade survivors are most often pulled from old rolls, bank bags, and collections tucked away in drawers for decades. Many families saved quarters in the 1970s, thinking they might be worth something someday. If you're lucky enough to inherit such a collection, check every coin carefully. Sometimes treasures hide in plain sight. And here's where it gets exciting for us at Rare Coins. We know many of you watching are searching everywhere: bank rolls, coin shops, flea markets, even your old jars of change at home. We've been there too. In the beginning, we hunted tirelessly, not knowing what to look for, sometimes buying the wrong coins, sometimes missing rare ones because of inexperience. But eventually we discovered those secrets and they changed our lives. That's why we share this knowledge with you today, so you don't waste years learning the hard way. So let's recap. The 1970 D Washington Quarter is a clad coin with huge mintage, but in high grades like MS-67 and MS-68, it's a four-figure rarity. Errors and varieties add even more excitement, with off-center strikes and double dies fetching premiums. And here's the big takeaway. These coins prove that even in an era when silver was gone, even in a sea of hundreds of millions, treasures exist. All it takes is knowledge, patience, and a sharp eye. Stay with us in this series because we're not stopping here. From the earliest silver Washington Quarters to these fascinating clad issues, we'll uncover every secret, every variety, every record-breaking sale. And yes, we will show you the coins that have sold for millions of dollars, not just thousands. This is your chance to become part of the hunt, part of the legacy of rare coin collecting. So check your change, search your drawers, and keep watching Rare Coins. You never know. The next life-changing coin might already be in your hands.